The following is a paid program brought to you by My Philly Lawyer. The views and opinions expressed are those of the sponsor and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the station and its management.
Good morning. Court Radio is now in session. Call 215-227-2727. When you've got legal questions, we've got the answers. This is Court Radio. And now here's your host, Dean Weitzman.
Good morning. It's Dean Weitzman, and this is Court Radio. I'm joined in the studio. You know, normally we have David, my co-host. Well, David's stuck at home today, and I have the one and only Philadelphia's District Attorney, Seth Williams. Hey, Seth.
Good morning, Dean. How are you?
Good. The audience needs to applaud you.
I like that. I appreciate that.
It's wonderful to have you here. We were going to have you anyway. I want the listeners to know that our hot button topic today is going to include some conversation with Seth and Jordan Harris about some new laws that are hopefully will get passed and become the law shortly. But before we get to that, Seth has volunteered to be the co-host. All right, folks, if you're up and about and want to have your question answered, you know what you have to do. All you got to do is give us a call here at the studio, 215-227-2727. That's the My Philly Lawyer number that travels with Dean. During the week, you can reach me at the office at that number. But right now, right here, get us in the studio, 215-227-2727. You know, one of the stories that I was going to talk about today, Seth, is the fact that the crime rate, as reported by the chief of police, has gone down substantially.
That's correct.
Do you take some credit for that?
Well, I think there are a lot of people that deserve credit. And, you know, our homicide rate is the lowest since 1967.
Wow.
4 years ago. And it's funny, you know, when I took office 4 years ago, right before that, the huge headline in the Enquirer was a long series called Justice Delayed, Denied, Dismissed. It talked about how dysfunctional and broken the criminal justice system in Philadelphia was. So, no, I can't take all the credit. The police commissioner, the courts, and community groups and the prosecutors all working together have really tried to solve a lot of the problems that we've seen in Philadelphia. And I'm very, very proud of the fact that, you know, we went from having 334 homicides last year to in 2013, we were down to 249.
That's
a significance of 25%
25%,
reduction.
yeah, 25% reduction, and over 100 and some lives that weren't lost.
That's
correct.
I
mean, and we've had years where it was higher than 300.
Yeah, well, in the in the 80s, at some points we're up in the 500s. But I believe that we still have a lot more work to do. But as a result of trying to find best practices from all across the country and all across the world, we've been able to implement policies that I think have really helped drive down that homicide rate. And so praise is to be shared with a lot of different people, most specifically the police commissioner. We've done a lot of great work together, and I think working together, we're going to try to make sure, we're going to try to get the homicide rate as close to 200 as possible. So I'm looking for maybe a 10% reduction from 2013 and 2014.
We're going to talk about some of the things that were done, some of the policies that were implemented. We're going to circle back to that, but let's talk to Patricia from Northeast Philly, who's got a question for me. Hey, Patricia, welcome to Court Radio.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes. I have a slight problem. Someone hit my parked car. Excuse me, December the 20th. They said she had insurance, but I'm having a heart. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you just fine.
Okay. And I'm having a problem with the tow people as well. The lady had insurance. They still haven't contacted me, and I'm having a problem getting my truck back from the people that towed it.
Okay. Well, the people that towed your truck probably want to be paid, and so if you signed a tow receipt on the night that your truck was taken, it probably says in there that you don't get it back until we get paid. If you didn't sign a tow receipt, and if they just snatch your truck off the street, that might be a different story. But more importantly, let's go back to the insurance company. Unfortunately, you got hit at probably the worst time one could get hit, which is around the end of the year and the holidays, because I'll tell you, I've been trying to get some insurance companies in to resolve some matters, and 3/4 of the insurance adjusters have been out since before Christmas and until after New Year's. This is a especially funky year because the holidays fell in the middle, so everybody just sort of said, heck with it, and we're going to take off, and we won't come back until this coming Monday. I think you'll probably see some action this coming Monday so long as she has insurance. Your car was parked. There's certainly no viable explanation. They do need to do an investigation. They need to make sure that their insured was driving the vehicle or the person who was driving had the permission of their insured, because in the outside chance that the vehicle was a stolen vehicle or was taken without permission, they wouldn't have to pay the claim. They're going to make sure that they're legally obligated to pay any claim before they actually pay it. I think you'll find this week is going to be an action week for you. That's my hope anyway. If not, you know who to call, 215-227-2727. But the only thing you can do really is to give them a chance this week. And if not, then you can always file suit. Listen, if it's only a property damage claim, chances are you're not going to have a lawyer involved because there's not enough money involved. Lawyers would take a percentage if they were to get involved in a case, and that would dip into what you've lost in real dollars. So in these types of cases, I always advise my clients or callers to bring a claim down in municipal court. They're very friendly. They're very helpful. And if Philadelphia Municipal Court is on Chestnut Street now, and they'll walk you through the process. You'd have to sue the person who hit you, and her insurance company would have to defend her and would be obligated to pay any judgment that you got. So that's the best.
What about the truck, though?
Say again? What about
I went to get my truck and
yeah, well, what's going to happen is her insurance company is going to pay for the towing and storage of your truck. As soon as that's paid, the tow company will release your truck.
Okay, well, they sent me a letter saying that they only paid for a certain amount of time for the truck.
December 20th, and who sent? Oh, the insurance company sent you a letter?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
send me a letter.
Yeah, you need to get the insurance company in touch with the tow company, but 10 days isn't too much time. And if they try to hold you up over that, and I don't think they will because of the holidays and everything else, but if they did, you'd bring that claim I told you about in municipal court.
Against them too?
Yes.
Or against the insurance company?
No, against the person who hit you. The insurance company would have to pay any judgment that the court ordered.
Okay.
All right. Have a great Sunday. Be safe.
Thank you.
We got callers on the line. 215-227-2727 in the studio with Seth Williams, Philadelphia's district attorney, and we were talking about the crime rate. And wow, look who just walked in, Seth. We were talking about the crime rate and the reduction that's occurred in the crime rate. Some of the things that have been done, I think, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, is that we're focusing on the more serious crimes. And that's not to say that the other crimes go without attention, but they get their due attention, and we try to move some of those into other programs. Tell us about that.
That's correct. I think I'm a member of a changing paradigm of what it means to be an American prosecutor, and that my job is not just to expand prisons and put more people into prisons to prosecute the right people, but my job is to prevent crime and to reduce recidivism. And to do that, we have to do all that we can to help first-time, nonviolent offenders get the help they need so they don't become repeat offenders. And that also allows us to focus our limited resources on those that are truly violent, like you're saying. So now in Philadelphia, about 43% of all of our misdemeanor cases are resolved through diversionary programs. We're helping those low-level criminals, instead of getting a criminal record, they have to do something, community service or rehab, do something positive, and those things are going to help them not become repeat offenders. And then it allows us to also more strategically go after those that are violent. Through Gunstat in Philadelphia, we work with the police to identify the most violent neighborhoods and the individuals and groups most responsible for that violence, and then to really investigate and to better prosecute those violent people. And so I think that's one of the greatest causes for the reduction in our violent crime.
Absolutely. And I am a huge proponent of the carrot and the stick. You know, okay, we always have the option of putting somebody, taking them off the street and putting them into prisons. It's always an option. But isn't it a great thing to give them the opportunity to bootstrap them out of the criminal prosecution, out of the criminal justice system, and into some other diversionary program? And so many people who commit crimes, the underlying problem is drug addiction. Okay, and if you treat it as a
public health problem,
as a disease, right, which it is, okay, doctors recognize it as a disease. If we treat it as a disease and people get help, then we've turned somebody who is willing to engage in criminal behavior but isn't a criminal, he's sick, into somebody who's a productive member of society.
Correct.
And I listen, I've been, screaming from the hilltops for that for a long time. The prior district attorney didn't share my belief in that method. Our friend Jordan Harris just joined us. He fought icy streets. I meant to mention this on the top of the hour. Folks, it is icy out there. Please, if you don't have to go out today, like Seth and Jordan, you stay in bed and listen to us and relax, because today is not a day to be running around, at least not right now. Temperatures are starting to move up, and later in the day it should get safer. But right now it's right around freezing, and it's raining, and that's a prescription for disaster. I came here in a four-wheel drive vehicle, but that just means I got all four wheels sliding on the same sheet of ice. So be careful out there. 215-227-2727. We have computers too, and this is the last point I'm going to make about the reducing crime rate, and then we're going to talk about what you two fellows came here to talk about. We're able to determine what days of the week most crimes are committed, what hours, and what neighborhoods. I mean, we have that information, and I think what's happened is they focused the manpower into the right days, right times, and right neighborhoods, so that we have more police where we need them when we need them there.
That's correct. And there's an entire branch of criminology, and this really gets back to we have to be smart.
Right.
We have to use empirical data in law enforcement, and there's an entire branch of criminology known as the ecology of crime. There are patterns to crime based on time, temperature, season. Of course, we have more gun violence, more gunpoint robberies and shootings when it's hot outside on a weekend. We have more domestic violence, unfortunately, when there are snow days or when people are forced to be inside, or Super Bowl Sunday. There's a lot of domestic violence. And so by understanding those types of things, where crimes occur, the patterns of specific crimes, where there's more gun violence, where there's more residential burglaries, by using that information appropriately, we can deter crime and better prosecute it.
There you go. All right. Well, it's all good news. We got some people lined up to talk to you, Seth, too. Let's take line 5. Lee from South Philly. Good morning,
hey,
Lee.
How you doing?
All right. Welcome to Court Radio.
Hey, I got a question for Mr. Williams.
Go right ahead.
I was last year. I got locked up. I was locked up for 3 months. For those 3 months that I was locked up, the only kind of criminals really that I was in there around was basically low-level criminals. I mean, you got 1 million guys in jail that we paying taxes for like crazy in there, and they in there for 1 bag of crack or 1 bag of marijuana, or, you know what I mean? What do we do with all those people?
Well, those are the people we're talking about. Unfortunately, the system isn't perfect, and not everybody is getting the help they need. But the more people like that, I believe, that are in jail for drug-related offenses, small-time drug-related offenses like a joint and a bag of crack, those people need to get help or given the opportunity for help. But that's a process that's going to take time before everybody, well, it's never going to be everybody, but there's usually other crimes associated with that bag of crack. It's the bag of crack and the fact that he cracked somebody over the head with a 2x4 to get the money for the bag of crack. And that's the guy who's in jail because he committed some sort of violent offense to get the crack. Now, I'm going to say I agree that even those folks who bang somebody over the head to get the bag of crack, I'm not saying they don't deserve to be prosecuted. I'm not saying they don't deserve to be punished. But if we could bring meaningful rehabilitation into the process, then that head-banging, crack-smoking person could become a productive member of society. I believe it. I believe it with every fiber of my body. Go ahead, Seth.
Right now, I know
I'm listening to Lee. Go ahead, Lee.
The city people who make the rules.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if the police are getting that same information that they are because they don't look at it the same way. Because the police out here now, I mean, they looking at you for any little tiny little thing.
Okay.
I mean, the things that they get, sometimes you get pulled over. You get pulled over by the police. The first thing you think of is like, wow, couldn't this guy be out doing someplace else? He's pulling me over for a ticket, but an old lady's getting beat in her head down the street.
Yeah, well, we still got to listen.
Police are getting the message.
Yeah, well, you're still going to get pulled over for a ticket, okay, even if they're focusing on other crimes. And, heck, a lot of the time you're getting pulled over by state troopers for tickets now. But that is so that they could free up the Philadelphia police to be focusing on other criminal enterprise. But I'm going to let Seth jump in.
They're kind of harsh now.
Yeah,
They're really harsh.
Lee,
you know what I mean? I know it's rough out there.
Lee, you got to give us a break here, bro. You got to let Seth jump in and at least have a comment. Otherwise, why did I pay him to come in here?
Yeah, right.
All right,
I've been waiting for that check for a long time. But Lee, good morning. I really don't know where to begin with your question. But we have very, very few people are actually housed in our city prison for the mere possession of drugs. So many of the people that might have been there who said they were there just for possession were probably they were arrested and they possessed an illegal drug, but they were already on probation or parole and were found to be in violation of that, and that's why they were being housed. People don't get high bail for possessing weed or we created a program called SAM, Small Amounts of Marijuana. So now that defendants that are charged with possessing a de minimis amount, less than 30 grams of marijuana, they go right, instead of going to court, taking up court time, pay a $200 fine and take a 3-hour class. I mean, we're trying to do as much as we can to get nonviolent people the help they need and through the system as quickly as possible so we can focus on those who are truly violent. But that doesn't mean police are going to give you a pass for doing some knucklehead stuff out in the street, like public urination. Still going to arrest you, So, I don't know what to say more than that. Generally when I'm on the show here, they have my theme music as the Law and Order theme. It's the first half hour of that show is the police. The second half hour is the DA's office. And working together, we're doing a lot to improve the quality of life in Philadelphia. We have a lot of work to do. But it's going to take community members, the police, prosecutors, and the courts all working together. And I think we can make Philadelphia an even better place for all of us to live, work, and raise our families.
Lee, thanks for giving Court Radio a call, and keep on listening. 215-227-2727. I'm joined in the studio by Seth Williams and Representative Jordan Harris. Jordan, welcome to Court Radio.
Good morning. Good morning.
I see. We did turn your mic on. Yeah. And the audience gratefully acknowledges your presence.
I appreciate being here. Thanks so much for having me.
So, one of the reasons I brought you two together for this illustrious show is to talk a little bit about a new law that's being proffered in the House, something to do with. Tell us, Jordan, what is the law and why do you think it's important for it to get passed?
Well, first, let me say, again, thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be joined by our esteemed district attorney, a modest district attorney. The reduction in homicides that we see in our city, I think, is attributed a lot to the police department and their hard work, but also a lot of that hard work is happening by the district attorney and the district attorney's office, and I think he and his staff and the folks that work hard over there every day should get a lot of credit and accolades for what they're doing in the city. Secondly, I will say, while we're offering House Bill 908 and 909 in Harrisburg, one of the things that the district attorney and I we've talked about over probably the last 6 or 7 months is the fact that a lot of the crimes that would be expungible in House Bill 908, the district attorney is actually not putting people in prison for those things currently. So I'm glad to see all the diversionary programs that the district attorney is doing. Now, with that said, there's still an issue for folks who were not so lucky to run into law with this district attorney and have records of the past. So what my bill is basically saying is that for folks who have non-violent offenses, we're not talking about rape, murder, we're not talking about anything against a child, none of that kind of stuff, but for non-violent offenses, if you have been clean for 7 years, meaning you haven't been rearrested in 7 years, you should have the opportunity to go before a judge and have your record expunged. And we're not saying it's automatic. There's a different bill that we're dealing with arrest records, but this one is talking about actual convictions. What we're saying is give a judge an opportunity to review your criminal record, give the district attorneys throughout Pennsylvania an opportunity to say yay or nay, and then let the judge decide on whether a person's non-violent offense criminal record should be expunged.
Would that include felonies, non-violent felonies?
So I guess the district attorney and I disagree a little bit on this area. No. It is cool because I say this: we're probably not going to get everything we want at this first bite of the apple. First for me, there's been a lot of people who've been working on this, but I think there are some felonies that should be considered for expungement. I'm trying to nudge our chief prosecutor in the city the same way, and I understand his perspective. His job is to prosecute those who break the law. So my bill, as it's written currently, would include non-violent felonies. Yes.
Okay. And so you support this bill, but not that aspect of it.
Right. And so first, I think, the representatives should be applauded for this effort. And we've been working together.
Yes.
And what's important to recognize, Dean, for your listeners, is that in Harrisburg, when representatives or state senators are trying to introduce legislation that relates to public safety, members of the House, members of the Senate give a lot of deference to the Pennsylvania District Attorneys Association and also to the Chiefs of Police Association. And I serve as the chairperson of the Pennsylvania District Attorneys Association's Legislative Committee. So I have 3 staff members who spend the majority of their week in Harrisburg working every day with lawmakers about passing good legislation and maybe pausing, slowing, retarding bad legislation. And we've been working with Representative Harris to try to find, and why is this important? Well, there are a lot of people that, made a mistake. And maybe having that criminal record is preventing them now. They're trying to do the right thing. They're trying to get a job. And having that criminal record in many ways could be preventing them from getting gainful employment. The flip side is that from law enforcement, we do want to ensure that people have information. And so we're trying to find the right balance of which crimes we're not going to be opposed to being included in this list. Historically in Pennsylvania, if you are found not guilty or the charges are withdrawn, you can go and have your record expunged. But if you have a conviction, the only way you can have that removed permanently is by a pardon of either the governor of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania or the president of the United States, him or herself. And so we're trying to find a way so that there may be some enumerated offenses, some that we can agree on, that after a period of time, if you've gone 7 years without any contact with the law, that maybe that demonstrates that, if we have a hearing and the DA can review it and maybe say why, we're opposed, or in many cases we won't say anything. It might help people, and that in of itself is promoting public safety by getting more of these people jobs. Philadelphia, about a third of the citizens of Philadelphia live at or below the national poverty level. If we can help get some of those people jobs, many of them will not be a part of that revolving door at the Criminal Justice Center.
I applaud both of you. I only wonder why it takes so long to get a couple of sharp minds to come together and focus the attention the way it should be focused. It makes no sense to me why we're talking in 2014 about this law. I mean, it should have been the law a long time ago. We are building prisons and housing people, and private companies, corporations are building prisons. They can't get people stuffed into beds fast enough, And now, if we built rehabs, okay, like we're building prisons, and we gave away, instead of forcing people into stupid programs for 3 days and a week and detoxes and crap like that, but if you put them into a 28-day or, God forbid, a 90-day drug rehab program, something real and substantial with real doctors, real degrees, and got people help, just think about how many less criminals there would be out there. I don't know. This seems like easy stuff to a guy like me, and it apparently isn't.
Well, let me say this: nothing is easy in the legislature. Right. I am learning that there's really nothing easy. But what I will say is, there are folks in Harrisburg who have been working on this issue for a while. I know Senator Shirley Kitchen has been working on this. Representative, one of my colleagues, Representative Ron Waters, Senator Tim Sullivan from out west has been working on this as well. Representative Patty Kim, who's a freshman like myself. I think we are, in my opinion, we have really moved the ball forward tremendously. I mean, to have a sitting district attorney, and like Seth said, the District Attorneys Association is very, very important to the process. And all I can say is that they have been at the table since we introduced the bill. Greg Rowe, who works for the DA, since we introduced the bill, has been in the office, and we've had discussions and about the bill. And just to have the sitting district attorney tell us that, first and foremost, there is room to work. I mean, a lot of folks would have closed the door on the idea a long time ago. So I'm very confident that working with the district attorneys and the DA's Association, the chief of police throughout the Commonwealth, that we are going to be able to get some things done this session.
There you go. All right, folks, we're going to be right back in 2 minutes. Hold your calls, 215-227-2727. We're going to get to you as soon as we get back, right after these announcements.
If you have legal problems and need answers, call My Philly Lawyer, Dean Weitzman, first at 215-227-2727 for personal injury, medical malpractice, birth injury, and more. Call Dean first.
He will fight for your rights. That's what Dean Weitzman is all about.
Call My Philly Lawyer, Dean Weitzman, first. 215-227-2727. My Philly Lawyer, when winning matters most. For 20 years, Center City Medical Center has provided premium expert medical services for Philadelphia. Whether you need musculoskeletal rehab or an immigration physical, call 888-945-EXAM. Our board-certified physicians have more than 80 years' experience from post-injury rehab to DNA paternity testing. To make an appointment at one of our 3 convenient locations, call 888-945-EXAM. Get premium expert care. Center City Medical Center, serving Northeast, North, and Center City, Philadelphia. If you've been injured on the job and are entitled to workers' comp, you need someone fighting for you from the start. Call Jeffrey Gross, attorney at law. Don't rely on your employer or insurance company to get it right. Call 215-512-1500. If you're entitled to workers' comp or it's being challenged, Jeffrey Gross can help get the money you deserve, and he won't get paid unless you get paid. Call 215-512-1500. Attorney at law, representing Pennsylvania's injured workers for more than 20 years. It's a legal and financial squeeze. You're unable to work because of an accident, but your legal case is still not settled, so you can't pay the bills to take care of your family. But now, thanks to U.S. Claims, you can. If you have a pending lawsuit, call 1-877-US-CLAIMS. While you're waiting for your settlement, U.S. Claims can help you pay the bills. Get out of the squeeze. Call 1-877-US-CLAIMS today.
The following is a paid program brought to you by My Philly Lawyer. The views and opinions expressed are those of the sponsor and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the station and its management.
Need more legal answers? Here's more Court Radio with your host, Dean Weitzman.
We'll talk about that later. Hey, welcome back to Court Radio. I'm Dean Weitzman, your host. And if you have questions, we've got Jordan Harris, representative from Philadelphia, and Seth Williams, the district attorney, and we're talking about Jordan's bills 908 and 909, which hopefully get passed shortly. What do you think that if you had to give me a guess, would you say they're going to get passed, Jordan?
I would say we are very close to an agreement where I think we'll get the bills
You got Republican support?
Yes, we do have Republican support. I would say about 3-4 weeks ago, we met with the Republican chair of the Judiciary Committee. The reason why that's important, the Republican Party is in control of the House and the Senate and the governor's mansion for that in Harrisburg, but a bill doesn't move without the party support.
Not bad for a freshman representative.
I appreciate that. So we were able to get a commitment from the Republican leader to run the bill. So we've been working with the Judiciary Chair on the bill, and we have two Republicans, Representative Gordon Dunlinger from Lancaster County and Representative Mindy Fee from Lancaster County, who are going to be working with us on these bills. So, hopefully we'll get something done. There is a Senate bill currently in the House that Senator Sullivan sent over. So I really believe that something is going to come out of both chambers and make it to the governor's desk, and with folks like the DA and the DA's Association supportive to a degree. We just have to find that middle ground, and I think we'll be able to get something done.
The governor's race is coming up this coming election cycle, so I'm sure he's got pretty much nothing good to say about anything. So he'd like to have something to hang around his neck that says, I actually worked this past 4 years.
Well, I will say this.
Now he's going to say something good.
No.
Go ahead. Be a politician.
No. All I'm going to say is there are several Democratic candidates running for governor who've already come out and publicly said that they support House Bill 908 and 909 and the work that we're trying to do around criminal expungement. So,
all right, let's talk to Veronica, line 2 from Germantown, who's got a question for Seth.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning,
Hi,
Veronica.
Welcome to Court Radio.
Hi. Thank you. I'm glad to hear about that bill. I was listening to the representative as he was speaking and thinking about so many of our young African-American males particularly who have gotten criminal records for small things. And I think the other key component is that they need jobs. When it's all said and done, they need jobs because, as you know, there's an old saying, idle mind is a playground for the devil.
Correct.
And it does still apply in this day and age. Listen, I have a question for District Attorney Williams. I have a relative who was evicted from her property last year, and there were some very nefarious things legally that have gone on, and where that has taken place is with Jewel Williams' office. There were some things that were said about her supposedly by somebody who was in the house at the time of the eviction, one of them being a deputy. And I'm wondering if, with proper presentation of paperwork and motion of discovery and any other things that we may need, would you clearly and honestly take a look at the prosecution of Jewel Williams' office and the people who were involved in this eviction?
Well, good morning, Veronica. First,
Good morning.
How are you? Let me we have a public nuisance task force in my office led by Ms. Beth Grossman. And when there are properties where the police allege or community groups allege there's some sort of illegal activity, being it drug dealing, prostitution, you name it, after hours, gambling, all types of things, properties can be seized. They can be taken from that owner. They can be auctioned off. And so a lot of things happen. So I'm not sure about the specifics of this case, but what I would ask you to do, Veronica, if you could send me an email with the specifics. We don't have enough time here. I think we only have 24 minutes left. So if you could just send me an email at Seth, that's SETH, .Williams at phila, PHILA.gov, then I will ensure that the information is reviewed by the appropriate person. So that deals with the property itself. Now, the second issue is that I have tried to triple the number of people in my office that review cases to ensure that we charge just the right people with just the right crimes. I've tried to focus on gun violence. As you know, I was in a heated battle with the Archdiocese of Philadelphia this past week, and that I've tried to do all that I can to protect the victims of child sexual abuse and to hold the pedophiles accountable and those that protect them. I'm going to do a lot this next 4 years, I hope, working to reduce truancy. But I've also...
Did you get reelected?
I did. I got 81% of the vote. I'm going to have a grand jury to find out who that other 19% were. But to Veronica's point, I have significantly increased the number of assistant district attorneys that are in our special investigations unit. They handle political corruption. And while that, and so... to answer your question, I won't say specifically who we're investigating or who we're going to prosecute, but it's something that I think that we have to understand. People have to know that while the cases of police misconduct or the excessive use of force or political corruption are a very small percentage of the cases, they really eat at the very fabric, the core of the public's belief that the system is fair. I want people to know that we're going to have the same standard of justice on every point of Germantown Avenue. Germantown and Erie, where it meets Broad, it looks much different than Germantown and Evergreen and Chestnut Hill. But I want people to know we're going to have the same standard of justice, and we don't care if you're a doctor, a priest, or a corner boy. We're going to have the same standard. So if you do have information related to political corruption, municipal corruption, again, please send that information to me.
Veronica, thanks for calling Court Radio. Get in touch with Seth Williams after the show, and have a great Sunday. 215-227-2727. Let's talk to Ivy from North Philly. Good morning, Ivy, and welcome to Court Radio.
Good morning.
You have a question?
Yes. I have a question about the Jordan's bill.
Uh-huh.
Okay, it's for my brother. He was convicted in 1991 for a drug conspiracy to sell drug charge.
Uh-huh.
And I was wondering, would they expunge that for him so he can get a good job?
See, that sounds like, the question is, was it a misdemeanor or a felony? That sounds like it might have been a felony, and there may be two answers to that question: Jordan's answer and then Seth's answer. But let's give Jordan the microphone.
So first and foremost, let me say that I am not an attorney, nor do I play one on TV.
Lucky you.
But I only play one on TV.
Right. So I'm if our bill covers all nonviolent. If this wasn't a violent crime, and we have a list of all of the crimes that are excluded from this bill, off the top of my head, I would say that this maybe covered. I'm not necessarily sure. The district attorney could probably tell you more because he knows, where this crime would actually fall.
But, and the other thing is that we have to wait to see what the bill looks like when it becomes a law, because whatever even if Jordan's correct and what you describe is not on or is a crime under which your brother may be his criminal record may be expunged, that doesn't, just because it's on the bill doesn't mean it's going to become the law. So we have to wait to see how that pans out before we know definitively what the answer is. But go ahead, Seth, jump in there.
No, and so I was saying, most likely, of course, the sale of narcotics in Pennsylvania is a felony, and as of now, the District Attorney's Association isn't we're going to try to start with people that have misdemeanors. At some point, depending upon how the political process goes, we may include felons, but I don't think that's going to be part of the initial package. But I just wanted to say good morning, Ivy. I have never met an Ivy in my life that wasn't a pretty woman. So I thought I'd just throw that out there.
Okay. I was like, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know.
How do you respond to that?
I don't know.
Am
Okay.
I the only one?
Okay, I don't know.
Oh, you're the only one. 1991.
Okay.
He was convicted in 1991.
The brother?
The brother.
Okay.
Okay, let's assume that he's not been convicted, not been involved in any crime since then. I mean, maybe, and maybe this is a middle ground between the two of you. Mm-hmm. Maybe there are certain felonies that we go beyond 7 years, but we get into the 20 years. Let's go crazy and say 20 years.
Right.
If you're unconvicted for 20 years, even if you committed a felony, come on, you deserve a job.
Right. And so Ivy's point to what you're saying right now, Dean, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. But you
I usually do.
You have to recognize that, for the most part, prosecutors in many ways are like dinosaurs. They're like, and so to even get to the point where we are now has taken a lot of heavy lifting.
That's why I should run the world. Because if I ran the world, I wouldn't have to worry about it.
But clearly a person who has remained crime-free
for 20 years.
Since 1991, with a few exceptions. Like if you're a pedophile and you've been charged with the sexual abuse of a child, the studies all show that those people, that's not just something that you decide one day you're going to go.
A lot of recidivism. It's intractable.
Exactly.
Thank you.
But something like what Ivy is saying, if her brother was charged with the sale of or trafficking narcotics in 1991.
Maybe it was pot.
Right. And so that shows that I think those are the types of people that we should be willing to give a second chance to.
Yes.
But we have to do it incrementally.
Right.
And so I think starting with the misdemeanors, and if we can show the value of that, hopefully we can build to defendants similar.
I'll write that bill too.
All right.
I'll write that one.
Ivy, thanks for calling Court Radio and have a blessed Sunday. For those who didn't go to Central High School, 30 grams of marijuana is a little more than an ounce. Okay, so just throwing, because we're not a metric society yet, so that is a fat ounce. 1 ounce of marijuana is de minimis.
Right, and so when I took over, I came up with this program called SAM. It just stands for small amounts of marijuana, but it made no sense to me that people that possessed less than $10 or $15 worth of weed, that we were arresting them. They're going to court. We were analyzing the drugs, hiring an attorney for them.
There's certain places in this country where that's now not a crime.
We were spending thousands and thousands of dollars for people that possessed about $10 worth of weed.
Yeah.
And so, again, it had nothing to – some people thought, we elect a black DA, the first one ever, and he must be a Rasta, and he wants to give everybody – no, that wasn't the point. It was about efficiencies in our criminal justice system.
You'd be a bad Rasta with that head. Okay? Just the head alone, they would reject you from Rasta.
My dreads were so tight that I went bald.
Right, there you go.
So what happened, though, but it just made no sense. So I thought we need to get those de minimis marijuana cases out of the system so we can focus our resources on those that are truly violent, people that are shooting each other, and come with new methods to deal with them. And it just makes sense.
I just want to know, whose voice were you mimicking when you said, those are... Who was that?
People that made fun of me. Those people. Like my predecessor. She thought by having this program that the Mexican drug cartel was jumping for joy. Come on, are you serious?
Well, look,
this is being smart on crime.
But the reality is this: for me, from a legislative perspective, when we look at the dollars and cents that we're spending or have spent in the past to prosecute these type of folks and put them in prison. I mean, currently, I think we spend between $35,000 and $40,000 a year to incarcerate somebody, and some of the times, some folks need to be incarcerated. I'm not going to say they don't.
No sane person would say otherwise.
Right, but the reality is, to that tune, $35,000 to $40,000. Some of our folks need to be continue to put into these diversionary programs. Now,
listen, you could get a lot of rehabilitation for $35,000 or $40,000. You probably can run a halfway house for a long time. You know, I mean, come on. Speaking of halfway houses, let's talk to Chris from North Philly on line 1, who has a question for us. Go ahead, Chris.
Yes. How you gentlemen doing this morning? First of all,
Good morning. We're doing well.
Okay. Actually, I'm calling from a halfway house now, and I was wanted to ask the DA. Like, I understand the necessity, like the need for this, and yeah, I was sitting back and I was wondering, like, how am I supposed? Like, I was paroled home. They felt that I was, you know what I mean, fit to come home. And the only reason I'm at a halfway house is because that I didn't have a home plan at the time to go home. And I'm not from Philadelphia. I'm from Chester County, you know what I mean? And there's really not no halfway houses around in the vicinity. So
there's only horses in
Chester County. Go ahead.
I said there's only horses in Chester County, but you're going to get to a question, right?
Yes.
Well, let's do it.
The question is, like, who can I talk to talk about, like, what goes on in the halfway houses? Like, I didn't talk to the state senator. I didn't talk to a lot of people. Like, who do I talk to talk about the treatment of, like, the people in the halfway house?
All right. Well, let me just congratulate you on being released to the halfway house. I mean, it's a milestone. It's a step in the right direction. I recognize also that the most difficult part for you going forward is going to be getting housing. You know, a place that you can hang your hat and sleep at night while you're out trying to get a job. And so I want you to just don't give up, because many of the people that fail end up going back. Recidivism in Pennsylvania is about 63%. About 63% of the people that are released from state prison go back within 3 years. And it's that first 60 to 90 days when you come home are the most critical. So, again, you know, I applaud you. I'm on your side. I want you to do all that you can to find a place to live and go the right way. Your question is, who can you report, you know, the halfway house to? Well, John Wetzel is the Secretary of Corrections in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and he is a very progressive. He's a very thoughtful person. He's a great guy. He's trying to do the right thing. He wants to ensure that people like yourself are getting the help you need. And if you feel as though you're not, I would highly suggest that you might not live in South Philadelphia. You could go speak to Representative Jordan Harris at his office, and he can make sure the information gets to John Wetzel, because he wants to ensure that they're using the taxpayer dollars the best that they can to help people get the help they need so they don't go back to state prison.
There you go. Thanks for calling Court Radio. Have a great Sunday. Let's talk to Monica from North Philly, who's got an expungement question. Hi, Monica. Welcome to Court Radio.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
My question is, I've been convicted 10 years ago of welfare fraud, but I pled guilty, and I've had a job, but I had a job before then too with the city as a 911 operator. My question is, I've been trying to get my conviction expunged, but they're saying this, what y'all just said about contacting the governor. But I wrote a letter, and when I was told that I had to have all my restitution and court costs paid up. Now, my court costs is paid up, but I'm currently paying restitution, and I'm on top of that. And I want to know, will the new bill include that rule too, that all the restitution has to be paid up in order for your record to be expunged? Because I haven't been in any trouble before then or even after then. And
all right, Monica. All right. Take a breath. Hold on. We're going to let him answer. You know, that she brings up a great point. It's wonderful. This is a wonderful opportunity to tinker with this law. If they are, I know the law says you have to have it all paid up, but the question is, if they're in a plan, been current in a plan, we can make it for, let's say, 2 years or more, 3 years, or whatever you want to say. If they're making their payments and doing everything they need to do, they just don't have a big old lump sum of money to pay it down. They don't have a rich uncle. Okay, do we punish those people further?
Well, let me say this: the bill currently does not talk about restitution at all. So I'm gonna say whatever the current law is on restitution would still be the current law. This would have nothing to do with restitution. Though there are several bills in the legislature. I think Representative Angel Cruz, I actually think, might have a bill out there that looks at community service hours in lieu of restitution. And so I'm not necessarily sure where folks are on that. I personally would say that depending on the amount, and I think there is a middle ground that we can come up with, depending on the amount, I would be in favor of community service hours in lieu of restitution.
Right.
Seth, what do you say about that?
But currently it would just be they have to pay it.
Right. And good morning, young lady. But the difference is there are different types of restitution. There could be restitution to the government, as in welfare fraud. And so I would defer and was willing to discuss the possibility of there being some sort of community service for people that owe money in restitution to the government or a branch of government. That's different than if you owe restitution to Miss Mamie on the 6200 block of Ellsworth because, somebody did something to her or her property, and she didn't do anything. Somebody wrote graffiti all over her wall, or they damaged and vandalized her car, or some sort of property damage, then that woman is entitled
to be made whole.
Made whole.
I agree.
But listen,
there's a slight difference.
Carrot and the stick. If you let somebody get a job, okay, you expunge the record to let them get a job, but you make it contingent upon them having a plan and having paid into that plan for a period of time, maybe you get more of that money back. I mean,
right. Well, many of the diversionary programs that we've created, though, basically the person has been arrested. We put a timeout on the criminal case and say, if you do these three things, you enroll in the GED program, you start some sort of anger management, or you're doing community service and you're paying restitution, we're gonna come back in 6 months and see where you are. And if you've done those things, then we're going to withdraw the charges. And
that's what I'm talking about with the expungement. If you've got like some huge number, you owe $25,000 in restitution, and you don't have a job, and you're looking to get expunged so you can get a job, maybe there is something like that where you say, okay, we'll entertain your expungement in 6 months or 9 months or a year if you create a plan and you start making some payments towards the person. But these are the things that, the law starts and it grows and it gets tinkered with. This isn't easy stuff. Jordan has a hard job. He's got to create all these laws and they've got to make sense, and most of the time they don't. So,
Wait. I don't know about the ones that I create. I don't know.
Toughest part about his job is having to go back and forth to Harrisburg.
And that's crazy. But I
on his bicycle, no less. Because
bikes. We'll talk about that in a second.
He's not old enough to drive.
No, but it's funny. but I will say this. Let us get this done first, and then I think we could talk about the restitution issue. I think the first thing we need to do is we need to get what we have now through the House, through the Senate, and to the governor's desk. That's the first and foremost.
All right. Thanks for calling. And have a great Sunday. You were saying about bicycles?
No, yeah. Before we left, I did want to bring up something.
We have some time.
December 23rd, we kicked off in my district Bike 186. Bike 186 is an effort to get folks in my district and folks throughout the city and throughout the Commonwealth more physically active, particularly our young people. While childhood obesity rates are down throughout the country, Pennsylvania is actually one of 3 states where preschoolers and the rate of obesity amongst preschoolers is increasing. So on December 23rd, we gave out 200 bikes to young people in my district.
Well, what if you gave out 200? Why isn't it called Bike 200?
186 is my district number.
Oh, silly
Play
me.
on it. Come on, work with me.
Charity begins at home. Are you joining in on this physically fit thing?
I'm getting a bike. I will be. Oops. We will be. You want to get on? You want to get on with me, DA? I mean, we can make this work. But people are going to be able to track how many miles I ride, how much weight I lose, and all that kind of stuff. But the reason why I'm bringing it up is because Dean Weitzman and my Philly lawyer were financial supporters
I read that.
to Bike 186. And not only that, Dean agreed on one amount, and when we sat down and talked, he doubled his contribution.
There you go.
Those children have bicycles and will become physically fit, in part because of the great work of my affiliate lawyer and Dean Weiss.
Thank you
so
very
I wanted
much,
to thank
Dean.
you for
Thank
your
you,
support.
guys. Thank you. It's my pleasure
stuff.
to be able to give back a little something. The truth is that I've been blessed with many, many things in life, and it really is my obligation and privilege to give back to the community. And so when people like yourself come up with great ideas, it makes my job easy to figure out what to do with that extra cash. When politicians aren't calling and begging for their war chest to be inflated. All right, let's take one last call, and then we're going to call it a day. Let's talk to Sean from West Philly, and that's Sean, a female.
Hello.
Hi, Sean. Welcome to Court Radio, dear. And you have a question for my guests?
Yes, I do. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Back in '99, I had a felony for money laundering, they say. I served 3 years probation and paid my restitution. So I was wondering about that being expunged. It's a felony, but right now I'm vision impaired and getting disability, but I still would like to get back to work. I've been through school.
Well, let me ask you a question, Sean. Sean, has that? I know right now you're on disability and you're not employed. But did that felony conviction prevent you from getting a job throughout your life?
No.
Okay. See. No, well, I'm glad you're honest, but, a lot of people, it does affect their ability to get a job. The answer to your question is that money...
Well, when I had the job, I had just got the felony, so I don't think it was really in effect when I started working.
Lucky for you. Lucky for you. But the answer to your question in a nutshell is if Seth has his way first time around, that's not going to be eligible for a expungement. And if Jordan has his way, money laundering clearly is a non-violent offense. And 1999 is another century ago. So if Jordan had his way and Dean had his way, you would be expunged. You have no time left, but
Okay.
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I'm fine.
All right. Dean has the last word. It is Court Radio. All right, folks, I want to thank Jordan Harris, State Representative from 186.
Yes.
And Seth Williams, the Philadelphia District Attorney, to be the new Philadelphia District Attorney, the next Philadelphia District Attorney, and his second term as Philadelphia District Attorney. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And thanks for joining us on Court Radio. Folks, I'll see you this time, same place, same time next week. God bless.
If you have legal problems and need answers, call My Philly Lawyer, Dean Weitzman, first at 215-227-2727 for personal injury, medical malpractice, birth injury, and more. Call Dean first.
He will fight for your rights. That's what Dean Weissman is all about.
Call My Philly Lawyer, Dean Weitzman, first. 215-227-2727. My Philly Lawyer, when winning matters most. For 20 years, Center City Medical Center has provided premium expert medical services for Philadelphia. Whether you need musculoskeletal rehab or an immigration physical, call 888-945-EXAM. Our board-certified physicians have more than 80 years' experience from post-injury rehab to DNA paternity testing. To make an appointment at one of our 3 convenient locations, call 888-945-EXAM. Get premium expert care. Center City Medical Center, serving Northeast, North, and Center City, Philadelphia. If you've been injured on the job and are entitled to workers' comp, you need someone fighting for you from the start. Call Jeffrey Gross, attorney at law. Don't rely on your employer or insurance company to get it right. Call 215-512-1500. If you're entitled to workers' comp or it's being challenged, Jeffrey Gross can help get the money you deserve, and he won't get paid unless you get paid. Call 215-512-1500. Jeffrey Gross, attorney at law, representing Pennsylvania's injured workers for more than 20 years. It's a legal and financial squeeze. You're unable to work because of an accident, but your legal case is still not settled, so you can't pay the bills to take care of your family. But now, thanks to U.S. Claims, you can. If you have a lawsuit, call 1-877-US-CLAIMS. While you're waiting for your settlement, U.S. Claims can help you pay the bills. Get out of the squeeze. Call 1-877-US-CLAIMS today.